Yanyun Wang, Jiafei Liu, Wenhan and Teng Guo. Voice of Architecture 2023. Heterotopia. Design by Yanyun Wang, Jiafei Liu, Wenhan and Teng Guo.
Introduction. Please introduce yourself briefly and provide some insights into your background in design.
Hello everyone, my name is Yanyun Wang and my English name is Claire. I am more than thrilled that our team project Heterotopia has won first place in the Into the Rabbit Hole design competition. I am also excited to present this project to all of you as the lead designer. But at the beginning, I would like to emphasize a fact, which is that I am not currently a student at any architecture school, nor am I a professional architect with an architectural license. Although I aspire to become a student at the best architecture school someday and make a significant impact as a designer in inclusive design, but I believe I still need more time to achieve it. So, at least in this case, I prefer to introduce myself as a survivor of sexual assault who strongly believes in the healing power of architecture and its potential to create a supportive community for vulnerable people. This is not only because the Into the Rabbit Hole competition emphasized the relationship between architecture and healing, but many architectural designs nowadays also aim to design for the vulnerable and incorporate more moral and humanitarian considerations. But many architectural designs nowadays also aim to design for the vulnerable and incorporate more moral and humanitarian considerations. However, in certain projects, the vulnerable are often seen as symbols, a group that needs saving and protection rather than individuals with equal intelligence and vibrant lives like the designers themselves. Therefore, I believe maybe today, as a victim and a first place winner in an interesting and important competition, I can serve as a window to convey a simple but crucial message. Like, if you want to design something for vulnerable individuals, don't just design for us, design with us. Because even though we often react slower than others and require more time due to the traumas, if you give us more assistance and patience, trust me, we will discover the untapped brilliance within our life. And furthermore, the challenges we have faced have equipped us with remarkable abilities, such as the ability to empathize with others and understand the pain they go through. This is an ability of great importance, at least for early stage design, isn't it?
What inspired you to participate in the Into the Rabbit Hole Design Competition 2023?
When I first came across the competition details for Into the Rabbit Hole, I immediately signed up. Actually, I was fascinated by the connection between the rabbit hole and psychological healing. It perfectly captures the initial reaction of those in need of healing. And with a background of 6 years of therapy, I believe in the positive significance of rabbit hole. In fact, I am currently working on a thesis about this topic under the guidance of a professor from the social psychology department at UCL. From a psychological perspective, the concept of the rabbit hole embodies two crucial aspects of healing. Firstly, it presents selective attention, which means the ability to concentrate solely on the positive aspect, while disregarding other potentially traumatic experiences. Secondly, the rabbit hole holds in infinite possibilities for exploration, which can temporarily free trauma survivors from the grip their emotional brain and allow the prefrontal cortex to take charge. Even in a brief period, the prefrontal cortex enables us to establish positive connections with the outside world and experience the joy of creativity. For individuals, this aspect carries even greater significance than emergency escape. So maybe we can say the more rabbit hole people can delve into, the greater their chances of escaping from their own story and finding healing.
Design concept. Can you provide an overview of your winning design for the Into the Rabbit Hole competition? How do your design challenge conventional notions of healing architecture and push the boundaries of architectural innovation? Share with us the sources of inspiration that led to your unique design concept. Were there any unconventional ideas that guided your creative process?
Heterotopia is a concept design based on Michel Foucault's philosophical theory. It envisions an ideal city created underground by the people of Aleppo, Syria, in response to the ravage of war. While the surface of Aleppo bears the scars of past colonialism and present international politics, this hidden underground city embodies the timeless elements that have defined Syrian history. Its architectural style draws inspiration from the Golden City-State era of Syria. The main difference between this design and traditional healing architecture is that we didn't start with a specific and rigid environment like a healing room. Instead, we approached healing from the perspective of the victim's inner world and used artistic techniques to showcase how they could have lived without experiencing harm. This is because in psychological healing, the biggest challenge to overcome is the victim's feeling of defeat. However, by vividly illustrating the potential positive outcomes they can achieve through activity overcoming their pain, it can have a much stronger impact than simply passively listening to their stories of suffering. I hold this perspective because even though my experience in architecture is relatively brief, I have already been involved in the construction of several conventional therapeutic structures. In April of this year, my conceptual design for aiding landmine victims in Cambodia was chosen. It's granting me the opportunity to attend an international mine clearance conference in Cambodia. During the conference, I had the privilege of meeting numerous local landmine victims. And in August, I traveled to Africa and assumed the role of co-designer for Sustainable Development Center in Mayukwa, which is Zambia's oldest refugee camp. After collaborating with 3 other architects and over 30 refugees from Congo and Angola, we successfully completed the construction of the facility. In this one-set project, we have made some achievements, such as learning how to quickly build houses using local methods in extreme environments and how to cooperate with the local government. But there are also some concerning aspects that give me pause or make me stay composed. For instance, during our time at the Mayukwa refugee camp, we attempted to collaborate with the refugees on construction projects. One day, a refugee shouted at us, like, "What is your guys' purpose here? Is it just to prove that you're a good person?" At that time, we felt unsure about what to do. And my experiences in Cambodia have also reminded me of something similar. When I present my design to local architects, they express their discomfort as politely as possible because they didn't want to embarrass me, but they do really want me to know that my design focuses too heavily on the pain they have endured and only a small part dedicated to hope and rebuilding. As Cambodians, obviously they don't want their country to always be associated with tragedy on the international stage. Instead, they hope that, like China, Cambodia can eventually emerge from the shadows of the past and become a stronger nation. This is their, beautiful willing. All this information has led me to consider our design for the refugees and the vulnerable. Are these designs truly necessary? Can they truly find healing in the architecture that we believe to be effective? At the same time, one day I encountered a sudden surge of anger during an interview as victim too. Being a maybe sort of well-known survivor of sexual assault in China, there are always journalists and directors who seek to exploit me for news reports or documentary films. The longest tracking shoot lasted for a year until I could not bear it and asked them, please stop filming it now. It's because a lot of times I strongly, sense that the people behind the camera were attempting to diminish my worth. Their lens only captured my moments of vulnerability and tears and some odd life experiences, while disregarding my professional accomplishments, my confidence as a survivor, and even my ambitious aspirations. This realization made me understand that maybe they never saw me as an ordinary person, but merely maybe desired my tear-stricken faces as a sensation headline. This is also, why today I made the deliberate choice to respond to these interview questions, not as a designer, but as a victim. Because we should know healing architecture encompasses two crucial elements. One is healing spaces, and the other is individuals who needs to be held. The voice of victims cannot be disregarded. And as victims, what we truly need is not pity. What we truly need is respect and empathy. Because of this previous practice and reflections, in this competition, in the Heterotopia, I focused on deeply studying the history of Syria and reading Islamic architecture and art page by page. I marveled at their magnificent and splendid culture. In the end, I decided to incorporate with their proudest cultural symbols into the design, just as my therapist once told me, Claire, without these tragedies, your life could have been better. Even though in the midst of all the unpleasant things happening now, you possess the ability to reclaim what should have belonged to you. I'm so touching about his, these words, and I hope I can put the same concept, the healing concept, in my design too.
Healing architecture. Healing is a central theme in this competition. How does your design concept create a healing environment for stressed living beings?
From a psychological standpoint, a healing environment comprises two crucial elements, a sense of safety and a sense of belonging. According to Maslow's theory, these elements are equally important as basic psychological needs like food, water, and air. Therefore, in the design of Heterotopia, our first question is, what should we do if arrogant and belligerent individuals attempt to enter this underground city? Will the people seeking refuge there be at risk? How will they respond to the external challenges? To address this concern, we have designed a fortified barrier that can be controlled by the resident inside. The second question is how the people live in the underground city can establish a more effective community to provide a sense of belonging for those seeking refuge from war. While contemplating this question, I stumbled upon a competition called Rebuilding Syria, that took place shortly after the Syrian civil war on a global scale. In this competition, a female architect offered an unique perspective on how a sense of belonging is formed within the local population. Her theory suggests that architectural design can influence people's behavior. Actually, in the Middle East, the architectural transition from tribal to urban took place during the city-state period, with a focus on cohabitation patterns and tolerance psychology. Rooftops became spaces for socializing and playing. And Muhammad used to give speeches on rooftops to attract followers when he established Islam. However, with the colonization by France, Syrian's architectural style gradually shifted towards prioritizing separation and privacy. Social symbols such as religion, wealth, and social class become divisive, making it difficult for individuals to establish a sense of national and ethnic community. According to some local architects in Syria, this is the root cause of the outbreak of the civil war. When I came across this theory, I was surprised by the relationship between war and architectural forms. It urged me to deeply contemplate how we should design an underground city that promotes communication, makes it easier to form cohesive whole, and helps people find a sense of belonging while respecting the local history. So we choose to use 5 basic modules, which are family, solitude, religious, commercial, and social, to improve people's connectivity and communication density while leaving space for independent thinking. What's even more interesting is that when we feel secure enough to regain control of our brains from the emotional part and shift it to the prefrontal cortex, we have a strong need to communicate with the outside world. So Heterotopia is not a completely closed underground world with zero communication with the outside. Those strange creatures growing in the ruins actually serve as megaphones. And for those of us living in the world above, when we enter the ruins and think, wow, this city is completely dead, but suddenly we can faintly hear prayers and the shouts of businessmen as if we never lost the prosperous era.
Were there specific design elements, spatial configurations, or materials that you believe contribute significantly to the healing aspect of your design?
Design of Heterotopia, the most crucial design elements is parametric design, which was also my first encounter with Grasshopper. At the time, we decided to have the computer generate the final model instead of assembling it manually. This approach may appear easier for designer, but it presents more philosophical choices. When selecting Islamic patterns for the plan of the underground city, we initially chose many patterns, but were unsatisfied because we couldn't explain why we choose one pattern over another. Fortunately, we later discovered a book dedicated to teaching the drawing of Islamic patterns. This book introduced a fundamental pattern that serves as the prototype for many others. And this discovery was fascinating and aligned perfectly with our process of using parametric design. Like the book, we also start with one prototype and remain open to the possibilities that may arise along the way without certain.
Unconventional thinking. This competition encourages participants to think beyond the norm. How did you break away from conventional design paradigms to create your Underland concept?
What paradigm have I broken? Perhaps it's because I was not an architect before, and I am still learning what the architectural paradigm entails. So I have not yet established this so-called paradigm. I'm a freshman.
Were there any unexpected challenges or breakthrough moments during the design process that pushed the boundaries of your creative thinking?
I think maybe in my perspective, the most inspiring moment occurred when I was explaining my design thinking to Wenhan. Actually, he's my architecture tutor, and he gave me the concept of heterotopia. In that instant, I couldn't believe how accurately he grasped that I wanted to convey. And within a few minutes, he provided a accurate concept, an accurate word to me, and follow the heterotopia, this concept. We finished our design in a few months.
Design evolution. Take us through the evolution of your design. How did you move from initial ideation to the final refined concept? Were there any design techniques, materials, or technologies that played a pivotal role in shaping your unique Underland?
Our design evolution process, I think is closely tied to the composition of our team. Before studying architecture full-time, I worked as a director. The documentary films I directed have been viewed by over 500 million viewers in China. So my training focused on using visual storytelling to gradually immerse the audience in the world we wanted to create. And therefore, my role in this architecture project is to write the script, which serves as the foundation of its story. On the other hand, Wenhan is currently pursuing a PhD in architectural heritage. He has extensive knowledge of various historical and philosophical concepts, and he came up with a fitting and captivating name for the project, which serves as its conceptual foundation. And Guo, he is highly skilled in parametric design and wrote a complete set of scripts for the project. And he provided training to both me and Jiafei on using these scripts to realize the design, forming the basis of our technical expertise. And Jiafei, wow, she is a dedicated executor and excels in digital drawing and modeling. Her involvement was crucial in creating the visually stunning final presentation. Each of us contributed to a new round of design evolution, and we are delighted that we were able to find a balance that showcases each person's strengths perfectly.
Impact on communities. Your design has the potential to influence how we perceive and experience architecture. How do you envision your Underland positively impacting individuals, communities, and the environment? Are there particular advantages or benefits that your design offers, such as space optimization, resource conservation, or adaptability to various contexts?
Actually, in practical terms, I don't believe our design offers any advantage. Instead, I prefer to view it as a conceptual architecture of the mind. The architecture of the mind is also energy efficient, as it doesn't require physical construction, isn't it? And I believe this conceptual design has a greater impact on how we perceive the world.
Advice. Based on your experience, what advice would you give to aspiring designers who are eager to explore unconventional and healing architectural concepts?
I dare not say that I have any suggestions. As mentioned earlier, I am still a newcomer in architecture. However, I am really eager to connect with more outstanding designers. Actually, if possible, I would also like to establish a global victim help victim system. This system will serve as a research method to understanding the real situation of people facing various hardship and provide better solutions. In my opinion, victim help victim is not about finding solace in thought like, someone else has it worse than me. I don't like this idea. But rather, the process of problem solving will completely change our mindset, making us more positive and able to hold a torch in the darkness until we find a way to the light. So more important, we will form a community with more conceptual individuals during the design process. This interconnected community will be like a massive safety net, accompanying us as we climb the new highest in our life, rather than, just being trapped in the identity of a victim forever.
Reflection on winning. Winning the Into the Rabbit Hole design competition is a significant achievement. How does it feel to receive recognition for your groundbreaking work? Do you have any final thoughts or messages you'd like to share with our audience, particularly those interested in innovative architecture and holistic well-being through design?
When I received the email, I was sleeping. Waking up to see this message, I thought, really, am I dreaming? And I read it several times before confirming that our project had won. And all the team members were also very happy. Actually, Gordon and Wenhan, they are my teachers in the architecture field. And in less than 2 years, they have taught me over 180 professional courses. I believe they are maybe in this project, they are the happiest one, because with their guidance, I have able to achieve my, the first award in the field of architecture within such a short period of time. Yeah.
For latest architecture competitions, visit Archeo Competitions.